it's like the old habits don't want to leave. So as you're letting go, they're still holding on. And they're holding on for dear life.
The actual act of thinking positively isn't harder, but the act of breaking the habit of thinking negatively is very challenging.
I've asked people, when was the last time you daydreamed? We were such imaginative kids. We don't let our imaginations go free in a good way.
If God is going to speak to us through feelings, to cut off your feelings would be to cut off your experience of what it would feel like to communicate with God.
Get on my motherfucking face. Please.
Push the goddamn button. Action.
What about adulting took you by surprise?
Ooh, you want me to go first?
If you want. I have an answer.
Oh, go ahead.
Do you have an answer?
No.
Oh, word. My answer is, the thing about adulting that took me by surprise is it's all made up. Like, you make it up as you go.
Oh my gosh. That part, I did not, like, okay. You be thinking that adults have everything all together, or like when we were looking at our parents, thinking that it was all like, okay, y'all followed these instructions to get to this point, and it's like, no, you just making stuff up. Like, what? And then y'all told me to stop using my imagination in school, and then when I get older, I gotta make stuff up. What? I'm sorry. That took me by surprise. Your answer being that took me by surprise.
So, actually, unlearning the fact that you don't have to have it all together, or unlearning the idea that you have to have it all together. It's like every day you could make something up.
I don't even think having it all together exists.
It doesn't. So, eliminating that idea, or unlearning the idea of having it all together, whatever that looks like.
If you got it all together, let us know in the comments. We want to talk to you.
Send me an ebook.
Word, we want to interview you.
Yeah, I don't even know what having it all together really means in a general sense. I don't know if that's just a matter of having all of your stuff, being in control of all of your stuff, or I don't know if that's a matter of, I don't know what it means, but I know most people don't have it all together. I don't know anybody who has it all together. Usually people have one or two aspects of their life they're doing really well in, and then the other ones they're like, it's all right. I mean, those things are a wash, but I'm rich, so I may not have my emotions together, but I'm rich, bitch. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I definitely agree.
What's one thing that caught you by surprise?
I like how you tried to throw that over here because it was definitely your turn to answer. Wow. Crazy deflection. So, one thing that caught me by surprise. I don't think I have anything different at the moment. I mean, I guess just how much stuff is made up, or how much stuff we agree to that is made up. I'll put it like this. I think I didn't realize how many things that I thought people put a lot of thought into that they did not put any thought into. So there's so many things where I'm like, oh, somebody had to think about this thoroughly, otherwise why are we doing it? And then as I become an adult, I'm like, did anybody think about this before we all agreed to do this? Like, this doesn't make sense. They're charging us for water? You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, I can't live without water, but you're gonna charge me for it? Like,
things that God gave us for
free. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all I was thinking. Like, the stuff that I didn't realize that we just all agreed to. I just didn't. My brain is now learning, like, oh, we just all agreed to it. Nobody questioned anything. Mm-hmm. Nobody said, hey, or if somebody did question it, most of us didn't. So we just kind of like, all right, well, I mean, he questioned it, but everybody else is kind of getting by, so this is how we do. I just didn't realize that most people, we just didn't think about stuff that deeply. Go ahead. That's me.
I agree.
She still on God now.
Yeah. That's one of the main
You
things.
know, like, you know what? Thing that caught me by surprise is the sky really blue.
I mean, it is really blue out there.
But the sky might be the ocean. But that's a different conversation.
Oh man.
We ready. We ready when you are.
One thing that really caught me by surprise. I actually did have something, and you made me forget.
My bad.
So you said that everything is made up, and you said the fact that everybody agreed to all this random made up stuff. For me, you know what? It was actually surprising. One of the things that's very surprising for me is, how, I guess the fact that most people don't think outside of their box or their space and have no desire to. I think that was something that caught me by surprise because as you look at things and you're like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Why would we all agree to this? And then you're like, well, let's just change it. Or you're not the only person who feels like it doesn't make sense. Other people are talking about it and you're like, okay, let's just go ahead and do this, and we can make whatever change, and people be like, no.
I feel like it's easier to go along than to.
And I think that's what surprised me, because of the fact that, like, in school, like, of course they're teaching us to be followers, but you hear, or at least when I was growing up, I heard a lot of, like, be a leader, not a follower, and stuff like that. And then when you get out into the real world, it's like, oh, y'all don't actually want to change anything.
I think it's because everybody who was a leader got killed.
Yeah, but
not everybody, but most of the people.
I wasn't even talking about us. I'm not even talking about on a larger scale of just, like, literally, like Martin Luther King or Malcolm X and all that stuff. I'm even just talking about, let's change the rules in the lunchroom, like smaller things.
But then it's like the people who orchestrate this stuff, now they radical, or they are the problem the problem child or problem makers. So a lot of times they get in trouble.
Yeah, I know, I get that.
So like on a child's standpoint, you might get suspended, you might get ISS. As an adult in the real world, if you shake something up, you could go to prison. You could be
for changing the lunch rules.
So everybody gets an extra slice of pizza, and then I'm going to jail.
Right? But that's why I was talking about, even on just like a smaller scale of, like, it don't even have to be like a thing where we're being an activist for something. It literally might be a thing where, like, okay, us putting everything in this row doesn't make sense. If we use both rows that are here, we could do this a lot faster. And a lot of people be like, no. Absolutely.
Because the rules say this. So why are we going against the rules? So now you're not even going to have, some people going to be like, that's smart. But they're not really going to be. I feel like people are more afraid of the consequences than the reward.
Yeah. I mean, that's how stuff typically is set up. Because a lot of things in this world, in this life, is built off of fear. So, like, I mean, people are already afraid of a lot of things. I mean, with reason. But it's also, it was a surprise to me, I feel like, because of the, I mean, like, and it's not everybody's responsibility to fight for everything.
Yeah, everybody not supposed to be on the front line.
They not.
Some people supposed to be making dinner for the people on the front line.
Exactly. Some people supposed to be taking a nap, okay, so that they can live to fight another day. But I think that was surprising to me that so many people were just fine with thinking within whatever frame of reference that they had. I mean, even just as far as, like, moving to a new place, or even just, like, traveling to a new place, experiencing a new type of food. there's a lot more people out here who are afraid of experiencing new things than they are of everything not changing and going to shit.
I think you could go ahead if you was about to say something.
You can finish.
With experiencing new things, it's uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So the new experience equals uncomfortability, possibly. So the possibility of being uncomfortable may scare a lot of people. I mean, life is uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like life is uncomfortable. Like in order to grow and change, evolve, it's uncomfortable. That's why they call it growing pains.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but as a child, I feel like I used to think that adults were just out here doing stuff.
Yeah, they don't be doing nothing.
Like that's the thing. That's why I was shocked, because I'm like, oh, this is, y'all really just go to work, go home.
And the wild thing is, I be feeling like I don't be doing nothing, but I be seeing myself doing stuff.
That's hilarious. Dang, what are the last things you said? What you said?
Oh,
What's your name?
oh,
I almost called you a totally different name. Go ahead. You good. You good.
People be I was surprised because people don't like to experience new things.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say, when it comes to the experiencing new things, I'm learning that it's not even just a conscious thing. It's really a subconscious thing, because I think it's a level of, and I talked about this before, but uncertainty, right? So because your brain because your brain likes patterns, and because it just likes certainty in general, the idea of experiencing new things means that I'm going to break a pattern, and I have nothing to compare this to. So when you don't have anything to compare it to, it naturally makes you feel uncomfortable, because it's like, I don't know what to do with this. What do I label this? What do I call this? Is this going to be good? Is this going to be bad? And I think a lot of people are hesitant because you don't have a frame of reference in your past to decide what this new experience is going to be. You literally have to go into the new experience and just let it, and determine what it feels like in the moment. And that's scary for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think that because I thought that adults was just out here, they was just out here experiencing, exploring, traveling, that I also did not know how much things cost when I was a child. So, like, I'm thinking that adults just out here, I know y'all be on the cruises, catching flights, whatever. In my head, I'm like, that's what adulthood is going to look like for me. But then you also encounter a lot more people who, even for me, like moving and stuff like that, you encounter a lot more people who are like, I'm going to stay in this town forever. I don't want to move, which is fine. I just thought everybody was just doing stuff.
Yeah. And I feel like for us, we got to travel. Everybody didn't get
That's true.
Get the opportunity to travel. We ain't traveled every single year, but we traveled enough.
Yeah, we took a couple trips.
Took a couple trips, regardless for what it was for. We had the luxury of seeing other places. So seeing outside of Jersey or Delaware, and we're not just American.
Oh yeah.
So we have heritage in different places, which even if we didn't meet them, something in us is telling us that this isn't all that life is. So
that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know where I got the frame of reference that adults was just out here doing everything.
I mean, if it seemed like they got it all together, and you seeing people take trips, you took trips with your parents.
I have been left at home at remember when they went on their anniversary trip? We was at Nana Pop-Up house. Yeah. I'm like,
so
this is what adults do.
Adults do things, but didn't see what adults do.
Right. Okay. I was looking through the window.
Yeah, looking through the peephole. The vision was.
It was blurry.
That's hilarious.
What's something? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say something else that I thought that caught me by surprise was, I actually thought I would be fundamentally different when I was an adult than I actually am. So I thought there was going to be a huge transition from me feeling like a kid and all of this stuff to me feeling like an adult, it is not a big difference at all.
Feel like a big kid.
Yeah, it's just
as an adult, you just by yourself.
Yeah, I was about to say.
No babysitter.
That's what I'm saying, and it almost feels like how it feels like you're getting thrown into a new sport as an adult. That's really what it feels like. And it's like, but your body hasn't figured out how to do the movements correct, so you're not coordinated. That's what it feels like to me. But you're still you. But you just kind of got threw into a whole new
baby giraffe. That's
and
what
literally, it's just like, wait, what is this? And nobody explains to you how to do nothing. You just kind of like start doing stuff, and you're like, all right, I'm kind of figuring it out. And then it's like, there's a roadblock. You gotta learn how to jump today. And it's like, jump? I just learned how to walk. Yes, like,
but I see a hole underneath.
You know what I'm saying?
I under there.
And then I thought that at some point I would feel like, yup, this is it. We walking in stride. We walking in adulthood. No, it don't feel that way at all. And I'm looking at other people, and I'm seeing the kid in everybody. And I'm like, wow, did everybody just look and feel like more adults when I was younger?
It's because you're smaller, so all the adults are a lot bigger. And they look like it is I don't want to say, they just look a lot bigger and stronger and like they got it all together.
Mm-hmm.
I was just saying, everybody is so much bigger than you, so they look a lot more grand, and it's like that's an adult.
Mm.
Then when I started growing, I'm like, hey, Pop, I thought you was tall.
Yo, that's crazy.
I will say, I thought I would look and feel different as an adult. I did. And also, this is what I was going to say. Realizing how old people were at the time of like our childhood memories. So finding out like, okay, I remember this situation happened. You was only in your 20s? Now it makes sense. Like, how did you even do all of that in your 20s? Like, I was here in your 20s, and you were doing this. That's a lot. Like, so I think that's something that shocks me every single time, because looking at your parents and thinking that they got it all together. Also, when you're a child, you think everybody is old.
That's what you took exactly what I was about to say. Go ahead.
You think everybody is old. Like, you're 6. Somebody say they 15. Oh, you old. Like, somebody's 20. Oh my gosh, you that old. Like, and then you get there and you be like, wow, you wasn't that old.
And that's what I was saying. I thought I was gonna feel fundamentally different. When I got to my latter 20s, I didn't feel any different than when I was in my early 20s. Except I guess I'm looking at the timeline of what stuff is supposed to be like, and I'm like, dang, I didn't realize I was this old. I guess in terms of whatever society, I didn't realize I was this old, but I don't feel that old. So like. It's just a weird thing because I don't know why I thought it was going to be a switch that somebody hit and then you're like, all right, cool, mature. Cool. I feel it, you know, and it's like, it doesn't ever feel like that, at least to me.
It's because we lost 3 years, so.
But
we lost.
I don't even think that would have made a difference. Honestly, I think I still would have felt this way because I don't necessarily feel a difference, except for it'll be little stuff and it's like, oh wow, okay, you can't do it exactly how you used to do it anymore. But I don't feel like I can't do it exactly how I used to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. But it's like, oh wow, it's a little bit harder to do some of the things that I used to do consistently. So it's just an interesting transition.
I was just gonna say, did you want to say something?
I was gonna say at 27, I did feel like, okay, you are an adult, but it was more so just like. You got older. It was like you hit a milestone birthday is what it felt like versus like I didn't change at the core. Like it was still me, the child, but also the adults. It's like we make the decisions. That's what it felt like. Go ahead. That's what it felt like.
I agree. It's 27. I don't know what's something about 27,
Mm-hmm.
but that's when I realized I was like, oh wow, you are actually the adult, and I was living by myself. So it was like I'm actually the adult.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that I was gonna say, something else that caught me by surprise was the lack of thinking in life. Like similar to what Damani said, like y'all didn't put any thought into this.
Oh, yeah.
But in general, like people don't think, which is it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a gift and a curse, I believe, because you could think too much and you could also not think enough. So finding that balance, I'm in the process of finding the balance, the harmony between thinking and not thinking.
Yeah.
But the fact that I can honestly say 90% of people don't think. I just be like, wow. Like 90% of adults do not think. They just go. And then once you get your routine and your patterns and your habits, you on autopilot. So then that goes back to not even really experiencing life or experiencing new things, because if you experience new things or get put into a new environment, now you have to change your thinking. And that's why stuff be happening, like people be swearing their life gonna change when they move somewhere else, but their actions and habits and everything stay the same, like they was in the same place. So now they moving like they was in the same place in this new place, thinking something gonna change, but nothing changed. And I'll be like, that's wild.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I had heard somebody say that once something becomes a habit, it becomes invisible to you. So you don't see it anymore. So you have to make a conscious effort to be able to see the habits that you're actually doing on a regular basis. And so, yeah, I think along with that, with the people not thinking and getting in the habit of thinking, and I won't say people aren't thinking. I don't think people think critically. So I think people, they think about it enough to the point where they're thinking, hey, does this make me uncomfortable or does it make me comfortable? And then it stops there. It doesn't go past that. I think the level after it, where you're thinking, all right, and then what? And then what? And then what? People don't even get to those levels of thinking. And I also don't think people use their imagination, which is what you were kind of talking about. People don't use their imagination nearly as much as they could, and I don't think people realize how often their imagination can benefit them in their everyday life. So that was a big surprise to me. I'm looking around at people. I'm like, wow, you don't imagine nothing, or you don't imagine nothing positive. Everything is negative.
Oh my gosh. People don't realize that they still use their imagination, but like when you ask people, like I've asked people, when was the last time you daydreamed? And they just be like, what? Like, when was the last time that you just let yourself daydream? It's like, I don't daydream. Okay, don't say that like that deserves an award. Like, yeah. When was the last time you sat and you visualized something? Oh, yeah, I be visualizing. That is daydreaming.
Yeah.
Like, it just got a different name. They gave you an adult name for daydreaming. Like, it's crazy to me because we were such imaginative kids. And then I know we were partially like taught to like not daydream, not because you not paying attention in class, you daydream and you think about other stuff, but it's like we don't let our imaginations go free in a good way anymore. We only let ourselves imagine that's the thing. We only allow ourselves to imagine the bad things because we don't look at it as like using our imagination. We're just like, oh, I'm just freaking out right now. And it's like, if you stop and think for a second, what you're freaking out about has not happened, which means that it's not real, which means that you are using your imagination to create a scenario that is not in your favor and is not in your favor in the present or the future. So use your imagination to change what you're thinking. And it's a lot easier said than done, but once you start paying attention to it, it's like, okay, once I learned that, it was hard for me to unlearn the fact that I'm in control of these thoughts.
I would say, to be honest, I think it's easier done than said. I think it really doesn't take as much. That is true. It doesn't take as much for you to think. It really takes no more effort to think positively than it does to think negatively. You're just more, you've developed a bigger a more defined habit of thinking negatively. So your go-to is your default is where I'm going into this new experience. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna happen. All my money gonna go. And you be like, hold on, none of this happened. Like you can also imagine the positive. And I think the trick is just understanding that you just developed a habit. It's not harder. You just have a habit of doing the negative thing more than the positive.
I was just gonna say, I think as humans we gravitate to the negative more than the positive.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's easier said than done, rather than easier done than said. And you actually have to be like aware and conscious, and like it's a conscious decision. And if you constantly distracted, and I agree, it don't take no more energy, but it's a lot easier to focus on the negative than the positive, because by human nature we're attracted to negative circumstances, negative events. I feel as though.
I don't think that's human nature. I think that's like learned behavior.
Yeah, you read my mind.
I think that is learned behavior and adopted behavior. So like, it's not only the stuff that we were taught to do, it's also the things that we've seen. So how the news now, they don't, when we were younger, they also reported on positive things, right? They did positive things, they did negative things, they did some community things. Now when you watch the news, it's basically all negative things, right? So then that's another learned thing of like, okay, I'm getting this constant stream of negativity. Then you got social media. Back in the MySpace days, it was all happy-go-lucky. We look at my SpongeBob on my page. I coded this, and we didn't know we was coding. And it's a party. You in my top 8. You in my top 12. You in my top 10. Whatever. But now on social media, depending on what platform you go on, which is most of them, you get another long stream of bad news, gossip, whatever it is, just stuff that's just not healthy for your mind. And also, different places that we go and different environments, complaining has become the norm, right? Complaining is a sport, y'all. I don't know if y'all ever watched the Complain Olympics, but I say go to a corporate office with people who have worked there for over 20 years and just listen to them. With somebody that hates their job but has been there for over 20 years, listen to them complain. Listen to them complain with their coworkers, and you're gonna see this is a sport. It's like the speed walking. You don't always see it on the Olympics, but you know it's there. So I'm just saying.
She's good.
I'm just saying. That's like another thing where, okay, that's learned behavior. So now, because what I wound up thinking for a while, until I started changing my thinking, was I realized I complained a lot more because I felt like that's what we do. That's the normal thing to do. Like that, if you're complaining, you want to hear what I'm have to complain about next. So let me cue up my complaint so that then we could trauma bond together and we could talk about how much we hate this job together, but also not leave it, because if we leave it, then I don't have nothing to complain about. So, but I'm just saying, just a constant stream of like negativity a lot of times. So then that translates into your imagination. That translates into how you think, how you see the world, all these things. Because sometimes it's like, this isn't even your original thought. It's what somebody else told you. A lot of times it's like, this is what they told you or this is what they showed you. And then you were like, yeah, I think that too.
Yeah, people do that about people too.
Mm-hmm.
Like it'd be like one of my jobs that I had. I'm not the person that stays at a job for 20 years if I don't like it. They get a good 8 months, and then I'll be like, yo, I can't. I'm good. But so I had moved to a different department, and then I ended up getting a new manager, and then everybody was like, oh no, she mean, she act like this, and this. And then I met her. First time I met her, it was cool, but then I still got this like the thought, like the stuff that everybody was telling me in my mind. So I'm moving cautiously, just observing, seeing what's going on. I'm like, she don't act like that to me. But I seen how she act towards certain people. But it's like, if you're not doing nothing, then I'm like, she don't do that to me because I'm handsome.
That happened to me as well. That's wild. That happened to me as well with a manager. I had got informed beforehand that that he was a stressful individual, and then I'm interacting, and I'm like, I mean, one, it's understandable that if he was a stressful individual, it's understandable if you look at all of the stuff that he's doing, and then second, all of y'all seem stressed. I walked in there, like you said it, like it was just him. You've been stressed this entire time I've been here, my boy. Like, what are we doing? So yeah, it's just, I think it definitely is something that we learn from people, and I definitely think I think it's more a habit. That's what we were talking about initially. I was saying, I think it's the actual act of thinking positively isn't harder, but the act of breaking the habit of thinking negatively is very challenging. Breaking habits is hard.
Yeah.
And I forget where I saw this at. Somebody was saying that the reason why we're prone to the negative, or we are naturally gravitate towards the negative, is just because, like, from old times being hunter gatherers and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you and your tribe is outside, and then somebody hears a noise, somebody goes out there, and then they don't come back. You're like, oh, okay, that noise means danger. The other person that hears it is like, oh, let me go out there and see what happens. It's like they had a positive mind state. They didn't come back, so you're thinking this is danger. Yeah, so
I missed it.
so it's like it's a lot of, it was all for survival, yeah. So it was in a matter of protection. So it's understandable, but I think it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be harder for you to think positive. We just naturally have a very deeply ingrained habit of doing it for our own protection. It's understandable. But
one thing that I learned this week while I was spiraling, towards the end of my spiral, was that a lot of our old habits and way of life and beliefs and a lot of things that we're unlearning were created from trauma and survival.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then that made stuff make so much sense. So now it's like I have a different outlook on life, not from the video, but like I have a different outlook on life because I'm unlearning those things and just actually letting go. So now I'm forced to experience new things, right? So me being forced to experience new things and eliminating distractions. So no TV, no movies, social media. I only go on there to follow somebody back or read what people captions say. Like I'm on there studying, seeing what worked and what's not. I'm not there just scrolling for fun. So it's not that enjoyable. It's like I'm not about to get lost in reading why this is working.
Yeah.
You can, but I'm not getting lost in that because it's like I'm looking at stuff. I'm looking at analytical data. It's just data. Seeing what's work. Okay, views this work because this. Seeing what's the commonality between all of the things or a lot of the videos that's working, like that type of thing. So it's like I'm looking. Okay, I'm writing it down, taking notes, putting it up here. So I said all that to say, let's go back to experiencing new things and life being uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable because it's no way for me to distract myself.
Well, yeah.
Like it's a limited amount of distractions, and it's a word when people escapism. It's not really any escapism because I don't really have any distractions. And even like it's not a thing of I could just eat a snack and be like, ooh, I'm not snacking. So like it's like so like I feel like that's one of the reasons for the spiraling because I have no way to. I'm just looking at everything happen, and it's like I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, and I'm feeling every emotion. It's like Go ahead.
3 things. Hey, Erical. That was number 1. Number 2 is that what I found for me is that that moment for me was a sign of it's time for me to let go. Like, okay, yeah, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this, I don't like that. But it's the things are kind of out of my control for the most part. So for me, I actually started working on letting go of control. Like, to stop trying to control whatever situation, whatever feeling, whatever emotion, and just let it all go, process it how I need to process it, and still working on that. Not saying that I'm done, but I definitely feel you on that, because I even, like, before, when I had got depressed when I was back in college, it was like I was scared to just sit with me. Like, I wasn't facing my emotions, because, like, I don't want to sit down and talk to me. I don't want to hear all of this. This is a lot. Like, this a lot of emotions. I put these away for a reason. I was not supposed to be digging back through this. This is tucked away.
Not this soon.
Not ever. I was like, I'm good. I know how to suppress a good emotion. That's what I thought. But not.
Suppress a good emotion. That's funny.
Started bubbling over, and then I wound up getting depressed. Then I was like, okay, let me start actually sitting down and figuring out how I feel and what I think. And I think that's when I was able to start. I guess from there, it's easier to break the habit, because that's when you start to get more self-aware. Not to say don't go into depression. Mm-hmm. Don't do that. But, like, when you feel that you're getting scared of, or you're reluctant to sit with yourself, like, for me, that was a sign that, okay, well, now I know it's a sign. I didn't know before. Now I know it's a sign that, okay, before this gets too, I guess, suppressed, or you get too far away from this moment, just take a moment to feel whatever you're feeling now, so you don't got to feel it 1,000 times harder in a year or two.
Yeah, for me, I was just going to say, this time is allowing me to see how close I am to what I actually been working toward. So it's like, before stuff happens, stuff be happening. Mm-hmm. If you know, you know. Before stuff happens, stuff be happening. And right now, stuff is happening.
And for those who don't know, what does that mean?
It'd be like stuff be chaotic or very uncomfortable, because I don't know if you're being tested, or it's like the old habits don't want to leave. Mm-hmm. So they're not going quietly. Yeah. So as you get in these old habits and old ways, personality traits, everything, whatever it is, out of your life, like, as you're letting go, they're still holding on. And they're holding on for dear life. So it's a battle. It's a struggle. I'm not going to say struggle. Scratch that. It's a battle.
Challenge.
I'm not even going to say challenge.
Oh, okay.
It's an experience. It's a new experience to get to
the other side.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's for a few reasons. But one is, again, when I was talking about, once it becomes a habit, it becomes invisible. On top of that, once it becomes a habit, it becomes automatic, and you don't have to actually put any thought behind what you're doing. So, like, now when it comes to a bad habit, if you're scrolling, you didn't think about doing it, you automatically did it. So you have to train yourself to stop being on automatic and actually go to manual. And that is a process in itself. And the other thing I was going to say was, don't forget your point, was when it comes to the getting rid of some of the bad stuff, I found out that all space needs to be filled, so it gets filled. So when you take away a habit, like, all right, I used to watch TV all the time, or I used to scroll all the time, you naturally are going to want to fill it with something. You have to fill it with something, and it may not, you have to just be very conscious of what you're going to fill it with. Because sometimes you be like, all right, I'm not scrolling, I'm not blah, blah, and then you're reading, and now you're overdoing it, because your body's like, I haven't gotten this kind of feeling from anything else. Let me fill this space, and all of the space gets filled. So it was just like understanding that. It's like, okay, cool. If I take this away, I know I have to refill this area with something. So what am I refilling this area with?
Yeah, good perspective.
I never thought about it like that, but I like that a lot.
I need to put working out somewhere in
mm-hmm. The third thing that I was gonna say is just going back to this whole thing has been about habits, but when you're talking about habits and routines, this is why for me, I stopped looking at like my self-care stuff as like a self-care routine and stuff like that.
Habit.
Because no, I call it my self-care system. Like I've been creating systems because what I recognized about myself and about a lot of people is like if it's a routine, most times you're not thinking about it. Like you said, you go on autopilot because that becomes like your natural habit or whatever. You're not assessing if these things are still working for you. You're just like, this is just what I do. This is always what I've done. But with a system, you stop and you be like, okay, this is my system for this. Are my processes still working for me? Like there's typically some type of evaluation system or some type of upgrade. Like even if you look at it like a computer. So every couple months, there's some type of upgrade that comes through on your computer. Like you got to download the new version of whatever that software is. That should be the same way that you operate in life. It's like if you're growing, if you're elevating, if you are moving forward or toward something, anything at all, then you take a moment to be like, okay, all right, I've been doing this thing, but has it been working for me? Like, do I feel good? Do I hate this thing? Is there something else that can be done? Even with my morning, you gave me the word processes now. So like my morning process instead of saying morning routine. For that, I sometimes go through and I'm like, okay, this is great, but this is taking me too long. Does it still work for me to have a morning process that's 2 hours? What can I do at the bare minimum? What things do I feel like are required? Like as far as this is what I need, no matter what, if I don't get nothing else done, I want to make sure I have this. And then what things are optional? Because on the days where maybe I'm traveling or I need to get done with my morning process earlier or I wake up late, I want to be able to have an efficient system so that I can still go throughout my day feeling amazing, but also, get out the door quicker.
Yeah.
So, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say on my walk today, I had the thought it goes along with your rising process. But I was just thinking I could take 20 minutes out the day to work out. Like 20 minutes every day to work out. And like just simple, because workouts you don't got to work out for an hour every day. You could just do what you got to do, even if I just go straight through, no breaks. My muscles are breaking and contracting, doing what they need to do because it's not really time for them to rest and reset. So all the working out that I need to do, I can get done in 20 to 30 minutes, have a great workout, feel amazing. I could find 20 minutes. Like if I can't find anything else, 20 minutes I can find.
I started with 5 minutes. Like I was just jumping rope for 5 minutes. I was like at the bare minimum, if I can do this, at least I know jumping rope is a full body workout. So if I don't do nothing else, I can jump rope for 5 minutes. Then I moved it up to 7. Now I'm at 10. And I'm like, okay, so once I told Damani, once I get to being able to jump rope like fully and consistently without stopping for 10 minutes, I'm going to start singing while I jump rope. And so I can work on my stamina and my vocal control. That's a whole nother story. But just upgrading the processes as you go along, because that's what life is about. If life is about growth, then the things that you're doing, your habits, your surroundings, like the way that you're operating should be growing with the rest of your life.
Yeah. You go ahead.
I was going to say, I know I usually get caught up in the idea of, oh, I'm only doing 5 minutes of this. I want to do an hour or something like that. And then it would feel like if I can't do the hour, I might as well not even do it, which is, again, anything done in the extremes isn't necessarily a good thing, right? So when you hear people talk about like if you're gonna do it well, do it. So in my mind, I'm telling myself, if I can't do the full hour, it's not worth doing. Let me wait till I get a chance to do it. And then you wait, and then now you haven't done it for a week. Instead of doing it, you couldn't do it for an hour. Maybe you could do it for 5 minutes. So then 5, and then eventually you get back to it. To me, it's more important to keep the consistency of the thing. If you're talking about working out, keep the consistency of working out even if it's for 5 minutes, as opposed to just not working out because you don't have your full 30. And I think I usually fall into that habit, and I've been working to get rid of it. But yeah, it's tough. But I think you have to make sure you do that. Also, you had said something a little bit before. Oh, you talking about when you guys were talking about not feeling the emotions and stuff like that. That's a big thing as well too, because I noticed one of the realizations I had when I was driving. You know, God was speaking to me. I don't know what was happening. I was sitting there, and then I realized, all right, if God is going to speak to us through feelings, emotions, to cut off your feelings would be to cut off your experience of what it would feel like to communicate with God. And I was like, oh, what? So how dangerous that is for me to be like, let me numb these feelings, when it's like, if that's what God's telling me, especially if it's uncomfortable, like God's giving me an opportunity to see why this is uncomfortable. So it's like, oh, okay. All right, let me listen to what's going on here. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and even with the uncomfortability and the emotions, a lot of times, this is exactly what's needed and what's called for, either to make the change or to see that we're actually ready. Because like we be asking for stuff, but in order to get this, it's things that you need along the way.
And it's
like,
things that you can't take with you.
Yeah. So like you gotta realize, okay, this can't go. And okay, I understand I had to get used to having tough conversations. So when I actually go out on my own, or I had to start creating systems, understand how I want my processes to work, see how other companies and business run. So when I have my own business, like, and this is all I have, like, I know how to operate and maneuver in different rooms and still be
me. Oh, you can go.
Oh, I was just going to say back to what you were saying about cutting off your communication with God. I was like, that's why I was in a dark place.
It was dark.
It got dark. That was heavy.
Yeah,
that's all I was going to say.
And Dan, what was the last thing you said, Reese? What'd you say?
Uncomfortability.
Oh, the thing that I had to recognize and tell myself was feelings are gonna pass, right? So like, even if you can sit in a room and feel some way for 30 minutes, and then on minute 31 you like the dog and squirrel, hold on one second, what is that? And you're like, and your whole mood is completely changed. I think we're afraid of feeling it because we don't know how long the feeling is gonna last. But it's like, if you actually just kind of sit through the feeling, then you usually don't have to feel it again in that way. And I think we'd be like, nah, that's gonna be way too uncomfortable. I don't know. And you're not gonna tell me how long I gotta sit in this feeling. At least give me a time limit and tell me it's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, you just gotta go in there and just wait until it pass. Oh, that sounds terrible.
After you saying that, for me, adulting or adulthood is two things: courage and definiteness of purpose. So like, you have to be so courageous to act on the thing that you know but can't see yet.
I don't necessarily, I wouldn't say that that's like being definite in your purpose.
But when I say definiteness of purpose, I don't mean this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. It's in this moment, this is what I'm doing, without wavering or thinking that it might not work, or even if you think it might not work, you're still going towards it.
But I was just saying, like, I agree with the acting on what you know, but I think that there are some things sometimes when you don't really even know what the purpose is. Like, you know.
Yeah, but you know that you're supposed to be doing it. That's what I say, acting on what you know.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But I was saying I wouldn't necessarily say that the being definite with whatever the purpose is always a thing when it comes to being an adult. Sometimes you know that you're supposed to take this step, so you act in what you know, but you still are unclear on what the full blown purpose is. Sometimes, not all the time, but you just know that you're supposed to be doing this. And I don't think you need both, is what I'm saying.
When I say purpose, I'm not talking about the reason why I'm doing this. But
he's talking about you having you being definite in the reason for why you're doing it, even if you don't know what if I'm deciding, I'm pretty much acting on the thing that I decided on doing, not necessarily being like definite, like I definitely understand this purpose. This is also a concept from I can't remember what book.
Outwit and the Devil.
Yeah, Outwit and the Devil.
And it was another book.
But
Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah. But the idea of being definite in what you want and being definite in your intention. I'll put it as I think that's more so what it is. Like having a definite intent instead of not having a definite intent. Hopefully that made sense. But
sure. I still feel how I feel.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I was just letting you know. I think that's he was more so saying more like you guys were talking about two different things. I think.
Yeah, I was talking about it from the alpha male perspective.
Oh, I can't relate to that.
Word.
So, but going back to the original topic. What? You was about to say something else?
Yeah, I was going to be back to the original topic. I was going to say another thing that surprised me was how many adults don't drink water. I'd be so confused.
Oh my God.
I'd be like, bro, I know when I was 15, I was like, ooh, it's nasty. It's no flavor.
I was
still drinking water.
Yeah, I mean, I was still drinking it. Juice was my default. It was my first. If I had an option between a tall glass of water and a tall glass of homemade iced tea, of course I'm going to the homemade iced tea. But as an adult, I didn't realize how many other adults just wasn't drinking water, eating vegetables, so much stuff. I was like, wow.
It really is like that. And so like a lot of them don't, and we be saying them like we not adults, but anyways, a lot of them don't eat vegetables, which was very surprising. Don't drink water at all. Like there are a lot of adults who do not touch water. I mean, hopefully they shower and stuff. But as far as like drinking water, like they do not drink water even a glass a day. And I be sitting there like, this is why you got all them health problems.
Crazy.
But that also leads me to what I found surprising about adulthood is how many habits from your childhood carry over into your adulthood. And I think that's the other thing when we're talking about being self-aware and stuff like that. Like, not eating vegetables, that is a thing from your childhood. Like, that's not something that you just became an adult and then suddenly was like, I don't eat vegetables. That's like, you didn't want vegetables as a child. You hated vegetables as a child. Either they made you eat them or they didn't make you eat them. Or you would fake like you would eat them and they would really go in the trash. That's a whole nother thing. And that's something that you carried from your childhood and that became something for you as an adult. So then as an adult, you were like, I hate vegetables. I'm not going to eat vegetables. You wasn't like, I'm going to see how to cook these vegetables properly so that I can still get my nutrients. You was like, the 7-year-old that was at that table that had to sit there all night and couldn't leave until they finished their plate because they still had broccoli on their plate. That 7-year-old in this 27-year-old body is not about to eat no vegetables.
The wild thing is broccoli actually fire.
Broccoli
I
good.
always like broccoli and string beans.
I didn't like string beans.
I ain't like collard greens.
Broccoli used to smell disgusting. I don't know what it was when it was cooked. But it used to, and then all of a sudden, as an adult, I said, "Yo, who making that broccoli?
They be
who seasoned that?"
I had heard they be doing something. They be like rebranding the vegetables, like within the last like decade and stuff. They've been like asparagus and Brussels sprouts and stuff like that. I don't know if they've been tweaking stuff in the labs, but they've been
tweaking what God gave us in the lab?
I mean, we in America.
All you got to do is pick it up and sell it.
But they might have been like crossbreeding this stuff so that you get a better strand of it or whatever. So that
Wow.
some of the stuff is like, so it might taste better or it might be a fresher, like maybe not as grassy or whatever. But I
want my stuff to taste like grass. Don't touch my greens.
I don't want myself to taste.
Not to taste like grass, but I want the flavor that God gave me.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what they really be doing, but I did see something about them like rebranding a lot of the vegetables now, and like that's why avocados are super popular. And I mean, avocados been popular, but then they got like really popular, and then like Brussels sprouts made a comeback. Nobody used to like Brussels sprouts. I like Brussels sprouts though, but anyways, yeah, a lot of the habits from your childhood, they definitely get carried over into adulthood. I think as a child, you don't know that. Like you don't. Because when you're looking at your parents and you're looking at other adults, you're just like, oh, these rules are, adult rules. But then when you become an adult and you talk to maybe your parents or other adults that were in your life, and they're like, you like, oh, so why don't you be eating broccoli? They be like, honestly, I hate that. I almost cursed. I hate broccoli. My mom used to make broccoli. I didn't like her broccoli, and now I don't eat broccoli.
You ain't have been bread broccoli.
Yeah, like you didn't want to try nobody else's broccoli. You didn't even want to try it out for yourself.
I mean,
like,
I can understand though, because sometimes just having something a lot of time over and over, just the smell, the thought of it, it might deter you. Like I don't ever want to see. I know you may make broccoli amazingly. It may be the best broccoli, 5-star Michelin chef broccoli ever, but because of how my grandmother made broccoli for 15 years, I don't even want to see a broccoli leaf. Don't bring no florets near me. Don't bring nothing that look like a tree near me.
The wild thing is, the grandmother probably made the broccoli the way she made the broccoli because the granddad ain't had no teeth, so he wasn't able to chew. So it had to be soft.
Yeah. There was a reasoning behind it, but that just means for me, I'm never having that again. Don't care where it's at. I don't even want it. I know it smells different. Get that away from me.
I ain't gonna
Leaves? Get that away from me.
I was driving. I was door dashing earlier, right? I went to the Vortex to pick up some food, and this particular time, I go on the passenger side and put the food in the car. So I smell the food. It's a flame broiled burger in there. I know a flame broiled burger when I smell one. And I was like, I ain't gonna lie, I think I'm gonna have to try one of those again, a burger. But then I was like, it's not worth it. But I don't know, maybe they say Jamaican KFC is good. They don't sell burgers, but
that was wild.
He's skipping.
That was
He's like,
that
you know
was
what?
wild.
I'm just going to
That
stop
was
being
wild.
plant-based. I'm going to try all of the different types of meat, and I'll let y'all know what happens. That's basically what he just said.
that might be my vlog.
His vlog is going to
Let's
be
see
him
what
throwing
happens.
up.
No, I'm not gonna show that. I'm gonna.
That's going to be you're going to get a video of him eating a burger, and then it's going to say 7 hours later. You're going to know. You're going to know exactly what happened.
That's funny.
Question, what is one habit that y'all think that y'all brought from childhood into adulthood?
Being quiet.
It's funny because you said it and then you got quiet.
But nah, just like showing up as the quiet person.
What about you?
What habit did I bring from my childhood
That's one of them.
into my I mean, one of the glaring ones is the not wanting to do what people tell me to do.
Mm-hmm.
It rubs me the wrong way. Even if it's people I care about, like if it's like if y'all say something and it don't sound a certain way, it'll bother me. I'm like, you know what? I don't like. I'm gonna do it, but I don't like how you said that, and because of how you said it, it makes me not want to do it, even though I'm gonna do it, but I really don't want to do it. So that's just that having the deep aversion to being told what to do. But I think that's the case with everybody. I don't think nobody really likes to be told what to do. Like at a core level.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
I'm like at a core level. I think some people don't like to make decisions and think. Use your thinker, not just thinker.
Not just thinker.
But, yeah, so that's me. What about you?
That's not the one I thought you were gonna say.
What you think I was gonna say?
Mushy food.
Oh my goodness.
He can't eat mushy food.
But see, so technically speaking, I would have brought that. If I did, I would be eating mushy food because as a baby, you eat mushy food.
No, but as a child, you didn't like mushy food
Yeah,
either.
I didn't.
So
Yeah.
You ain't really have a choice
when you was a baby, you had no teeth.
The airplane.
Yeah.
Like
That is true.
Damani was probably cussing people out in his head, like, man, just wait till I get some teeth.
Yeah, it's crazy. I probably was like, what the is this? It's not chewable. Did you chew this before you gave it to me?
I seen that before. That's disgusting.
That's what it feels like when I'm eating.
I seen an adult pre-chew the food for a baby and then go like this and give it to the baby. That's nasty.
That's what it feels like whenever I see some people eat grits. I mean, they just be, whoosh, oh, that's disgusting. It look like how birds be, just, and then they spit it back out. That's what it look like to me.
Shots fired, cause like I'm the only person you really be around that be eating grits.
Yeah, I don't know how y'all be chewing the mushy, anything that's mushy food in general. I'm not a big fan of. But yes, I did bring that from childhood, so sue me. Let me to say.
What did I bring from childhood? My loving personality.
Boo,
okay, one habit that I did bring from childhood originally was listening to people talk for too long. Like so for a long time, many years, I would find myself in these very strange conversations that I didn't know how to get out of because I'm so used to listening to people talk or vent to me or whatever, and it would just be the strangest conversations with people I don't know. Sometimes people I do know. At church, at the gas station. I don't know. I don't think that was a good habit, but I had it. I don't do that anymore.
I was at work. It was like last week. And somebody come in. It was so random because you was talking about random conversation. It was so random. He looked at me. I looked at him. And his girl looked at me. And I looked at her. And then he was like, our grandparents are having sex. And I was like,
what?
The first thing that came to mind was, keep it in family. But I'm like,
yo, what?
I don't know if that's gonna sound right, but that's what y'all doing.
I think that would be strange for me. Like, from a stranger's standpoint, it's like, why are you telling me this? But then I probably would have asked a follow-up question.
Yeah.
They were walking. It was in passing.
I'd be like, hold on, you're not just gonna drop that bomb on me and keep going. Come on back. What's your name?
I didn't even care. Yeah, you should never be that open with a stranger.
That was when I was at the bank. That's all I would get. I was like, "Hey, how you doing today?" Like, I'm doing all right. Hopefully you. And I would just ask, "Hopefully you and your family doing all right as well." Yep. And as soon as I say that, they would be like, "Listen, my daughter taking my money. My wife left me." I'm like, okay. You sound like you need a hug. But I'm not about to hug you. But listen. That sounds like a lot. You know, I hope you're doing okay. How did you want your 20? Did you want it in fives, singles? Okay, cool. And then but yeah. So that's I definitely understand.
Yeah. I mean, that used to happen. Well, I was in customer service for a long time, so then people talking there. Then in the bank, people love to talk there. I was a banker. They sat at my desk. So while we sitting there, they had a chair already.
I had some mints too. They ain't getting no mints.
We ain't have no mints. But yeah, so that's the habit that I brought out of childhood, is listening to people talk for too long. Like, now I know, I realize now it was a people pleasing thing. But now I know like how to end the conversation, because I didn't know how to end the conversation without it feeling like I was being rude. So, you know, now I'm like, all right, let's cut this.
Sometimes you gotta be rude.
Yeah, but I was
not even be rude, but hurt people's feelings for your sake.
But it wasn't even like conversations that it would have really hurt their feelings. Like looking back on it, I mean, some people might have, but for other people, I've sat there and been judged and criticized, but I was so intrigued by like what they were saying.
Like it's judging and criticizing you?
Yes.
Like, really? That's how you feel?
Mm-hmm. I was told that in one of the conversations, it was this random pastor that married our cousin. They didn't get married to our cousin, but he did the ceremony. And he was basically saying that me and Damani's relationship was gonna fail when we moved out here, and that something about sinning, and it was a lot of stuff. And I was just like,
I feel like that goes back to the conversation. What surprised us most about adulthood, because even those type of conversations, people be assuming
everything,
and it be like, you know what? I am an adult, and I'm actually living an adult life. Some people live like that, but my life doesn't look like what's going on in your head. People got wild imaginations, and they decide to use it for the wrong things.
And also, like, that was my first time ever interacting with this person.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that surprised me about adulting. The level of audacity of adults to just make judgments on your life, and they don't even know you. It's interesting.
Because he definitely was like, yeah, you guys said you moved to Atlanta? Oh, it's definitely not going to work out for you.
Right.
But you don't know me from a can of...
Right.
Yeah, what are you talking about? You don't know what I do.
You don't know what we do, why we moving to Atlanta.
You don't even know we really moving to Atlanta.
Right, like you don't know us. We've never seen you before.
Because Jonesboro is not Atlanta.
Yeah. Definitely didn't move to Atlanta.
Yeah, we definitely did.
But that's funny.
But yeah, so that was a habit that I had to learn to let go of. Cause the saying that Damani always says of I like to let people talk who like to talk. I was that person too. Like, so you like to talk. What you're saying sounds crazy, but I'm kind of entertained right now. And then it goes from me being entertained to me now being uncomfortable. And I didn't know how to transition away. Like, I'm over here signaling people behind his head, like, hey, can you just come get me?
Yeah, I feel like once you start valuing your time and yourself, but your time, it's like, I'm not about to sit in this conversation for more than a minute. 90 seconds. You got a Instagram reel. That's all I got for you.
Oh man, it's or I'm not gonna sit in the conversation at all. But valuing my time and learning about valuing me, I think that helped a lot. But y'all got any final thoughts? Comment below and let us know what's one habit from your childhood that you brought over into adulthood, and also what's one thing about adulthood that completely took you by surprise. Something that nobody really told you about, or maybe you knew, but you ain't know it looked like this. So comment below, let us know, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm Shakoya D.
Bad man breezing 10 ear.
It's your humble friend Damani.
And this is the Grae Area Podcast.
Grae. Okay.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Ding. And we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Adios.
Stay blessed. Stay black.
You say what?
Know yourself. Know your worth. Jukebox, hit me with another jam.
Get on my face. Get on my motherfucking face. Please.
Push the goddamn button.